Well, in 2009, I was working as a design engineer. So I come from an engineering background. And during the global recession, I actually lost my job.
Mm,
So that sort of brought my life to a bit of a standstill. And I didn't particularly enjoy the job that I was doing.
mm,
And I didn't really have much of a desire to go back to the same kind of work as well.
yeah.
So I started asking myself, so what is it that I can do that I will enjoy, that I feel I can be productive and I feel like I can make a contribution? I didn't know much about coaching, but I started taking an inventory of my life,
Mm,
what I thought were my skills, what I thought I would like to do. And somehow that list, when I sort of put it together, uh, I, I thought this is what a coach does. And so that was sort of the beginning of my journey.
hmm.
And but it wasn't for another 3 years that I actually did something about it.
Yeah.
So this is all tucked away, and I just needed a motivation. And I
Yeah.
think that motivation came when my dad passed away at the
Mm,
end of 2011. And I knew I had to do something about
yeah.
living my dream. And I thought the best way I could do that was if I could get a business card printed. That's how my journey began.
Oh, wow. Oh, so many incredible points there. Sometimes it does take time and a vision, and something as unsettling as losing a loved one can make us take take stock of our lives, take inventory of our lives. So I'm that you were able to tell our stories and your story in such a sincere way.
I want to talk a bit about the process that I use in coaching, and I call it the 3P model. So the
Okay.
3Ps actually, the 3Ps stand for presence, purpose, and partnership. And so I try to bring these 3Ps into every one of my coaching sessions.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I see these 3Ps as three elementary or fundamental ingredients that are required to maintain the flow
Mm-hmm.
and to maintain the focus and to finally partner with the client to bring them towards the destination that they want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So all my tools are actually built around this. So presence, for example, is the thing that I consider the most important, and that's what leads you to connect with your client, which is the fundamental most important
Mm-hmm.
thing I find,
Mm-hmm.
because that leads to a trusting space.
Yeah. So, do you have a power tool in the works there, Pooji?
There are a few things that I'm actually working on. Uh, the one thing that comes to my mind when we're talking is about loss versus gain.
Mm,
And oftentimes we go through losses, personal losses. We lose something. It could be a relationship. We can lose a job, as was for me the case. And we could actually lose something that we have really worked hard for.
mm-hmm.
And the focus in most of those times is actually to look at what we have lost. But I often find that when you lose something, if you are looking outward rather than inward, which is where the perspective needs to shift, you find that there is something waiting to be discovered. And I have certainly found this to be true in my life, and I know so many other friends of mine who can attest to the same thing. So the focus is moving a person from looking inward and focusing on what they have lost to looking at the loss as an opportunity to gain something or to discover something. And oftentimes, then when the focus is outward, you find that they actually discover something to replace, which could even be something better. Oftentimes, it ends up being something better. So
Wow.
that is one. I want to start focusing on engineers because I come from an engineering background, and I think I understand how engineers work. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of the engineers are left-brain people, and I think giving the opportunity to be coached on the right brain side of things, I think
Mm-hmm.
is a much needed service to engineers. So I'm currently on the teaching staff of Queensland University of Technology in
Mm-hmm.
engineering. And so I have before me undergraduate students, I have PhD students, I also have in my focus young graduates,
Mm.
engineering graduates who move into their workplaces. So these three categories of students or graduates would be my focus.
Okay.
And so when I first started coaching, this was the niche that I wanted to specialize in. And last year, I actually wrote 2 papers. These are 2 research papers that I got the opportunity to write. And the first one was about how we could actually help improve the performance in PhD students through coaching.
Wow.
And so this paper I had the opportunity to present at a conference in Singapore in November last year. And I find, because the PhD students, the coaching method of sort of guiding them works the best as a supervisory model as well, because PhD students can bring about innovation and creativity. They can produce things that haven't been produced yet. And therefore I really find that the coaching really allows you to groom PhD students towards that.
Wow.
And the second paper I wrote was about defining success in the sense of what success actually meant to an engineer. And so the second paper talks about how we could develop holistic graduates with a clearly defined model of success, which is not academic success, but success that encompasses personal success, encompasses academic success, what industry would call success, what at a national level you would expect engineers to kind of produce in terms of successful outcomes, as well as we live in a global world and there are lots of global issues that the world expects engineers to solve. So if we have the ability to produce graduates who are holistic in their thinking and not just towards graduating or not just towards finding a job, I believe we do the world a service by producing people who would go far. And so that has been, so as a way of introducing that, I've developed another program at university and I'm waiting for funding at the moment. And I really feel like if we do that, we are able to develop engineers who would go to great lengths to solve the world's problems today.
Great. Wow. It's like coaching the whole person, coaching the whole student, the whole engineer towards fulfilling their potential, right? Left brain, right brain balance, but also offering the opportunity to see their role in engineering as bigger than, as you say, getting a job, but really a methodology to change the world for the better. So
Absolutely.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I have a feeling you're a very left and right brain balanced person, so this would be right up in your niche area, and I think it's wonderful. I have one last question. If you could share one thing with the world about coaching, what might that be?
In coaching, I find the opportunity to help a person reach the fullness in life. I think it's a wonderful privilege that we have as coaches to be able to help a person, because I believe every person is created uniquely. I believe life itself is a gift from God. And I think to be able to live the fullness of your life's purpose is how we give, it is our gift back to God. And as coaches, we have this incredible opportunity to be able to partner or walk alongside people as they reach the fullness in life. Yes. And I always believe in the power of a single transformed life. Because when one person is transformed, they have the ability to change a family. And when there is a transformed family, they can change a community. Right. And when there are changed communities, they can change cities. And it is transformed cities that can actually change a nation. Yeah. And it all starts with one single life that's been changed. Yeah. And I really believe, I really have a dream. I have a dream, just as there are organizations called Engineers Without Borders or Doctors Without Borders, that we could one day have an organization called Coaches Without Borders. And literally, there is no border that can contain us, because we are using the online medium to connect with people. So I can be coaching someone in Africa or someone in South America through the computer. And these are borders that doctors and other people, professional people, have to actually cross physically. Yes. But we have the opportunity. So I really feel like we can be involved in transforming communities. We can look at communities that have a need for quality education. Or there are people who live as modern day slaves. Simply because they just don't know how else, or they have been caught up in a paradigm of thinking. Yeah. And I really believe that wouldn't it be great if through the opportunity we have in ICA, if we could all come together
Oh,
And we
yes.
have a collective vision of actually doing something beyond ourselves
Yeah.
and leaving a legacy that could really transform the world. So to me, I say that the power of coaching, being able to do that and bring that about, and to me, that is the greatest gift that we can give our fellow
Oh,
humanity.
definitely. Definitely. Well said. Well said. And I am fascinated by the coaching without borders. My very first coaching client was a woman who was working in Hollywood as a production assistant. And what she really wanted to do was join Doctors Without Borders. She had no medical degree. She was 30-something years old, and she thought, this is impossible. 5 years later, and having the privilege of helping her find her way there, she is in a medical capacity working with that organization. So I've always thought of coaching like that. So when you're ready, I will be a part of that effort. I will do whatever.
Sounds
I
good.
roll up my sleeves for you because I think you hit the nail on the head. It's a privilege. It's an honor. It's absolutely a thrill at times to be a part of someone's transformation, and to see that exponentially increase and in a world, community by community. I do think it's the answer, and I do think it's our time. So I am so glad to hear what you had to say today.
Tell me all the things you would change.